Hi, welcome to the Turbo Start video for the VS880 Digital Studio Workstation. I'm Paul Youngblood, Musical Instrument Marketing Manager here at Roland Corporation US. You know, the VS880 is a fabulous tool, a comprehensive virtual studio. We provided this video to quickly acquaint you with the most exciting features and basic operation of the VS880 so you can get down to business right away. Your guide through the VS880 Digital Studio Workstation will be audio-video producer Scott Patinsky. His credits include TV ads such as Kawasaki's Bridge Spot and sound design for the Jimmy McBride cab driver IDs for MTV. Scott's recording work includes Michael Jackson's History album, and his film work includes Brothers McMillan, a winner at the 1995 Sundance Festival. His experience with music and recording, coupled with his commercial success, puts him at the cutting edge of high-quality audio production.
Thanks, Paul. I'm glad I'm the one showing you the VS880 because I think it's a really powerful tool. Having used many digital recorders and editors, I think that the VS880 is really something new. The VS880 is about creative options, ways of giving you more choices while at the same time increasing the speed with which you work. I think the VS880 will dramatically enhance your abilities, from songwriting to demoing to all of your general production work. The VS880 is going to let you define your sound in a way and at a level you probably didn't think was possible. Getting better results faster and with more options, that's what I find exciting, and we're going to take a look at how all of this works. Think of the VS880 as a complete studio environment, a virtual studio, with comprehensive digital recording and mixing and optional effects. It has an onboard hard disk or removable media, built-in SCSI port, MIDI timecode, MIDI clock syncing, and non-destructive editing with 999 levels of undo, all in one fast, easy-to-use, portable package. The VS880's non-destructive editing includes copy, move, cut, erase, insert, and exchange. Each of the 8 tracks has 8 virtual tracks for a total of 64 virtual tracks, areas to keep your extra solos or ideas. You can think of these virtual tracks as a holding tank for all the different elements that you're going to want to experiment with when building your final piece. For even more choices, you can bounce multiple tracks together without adding tape hiss and still keep the original tracks in case you want to remix them later or just use them somewhere else. And even better, you can instantly copy a whole song just to try out a different version or experiment with your arrangement. And just as important as all of its features, the VS880 is really fast and very easy to use. We don't have time to cover all of these features in this video. Here's what we'll be covering. We'll start with basic recording, then move on to using a virtual track to record a new solo while keeping the original. We'll do some editing, then undo the edit we just did. We'll then move on to more advanced topics and include useful tips along the way. Let's begin with a quick look at the VS880. It's divided into several clear sections: the mixer section, the LCD display, the edit condition buttons, the play display button, which also acts as an exit button, the data entry controls, the transport control section, the locator and marker section, the preview and scrub preview section, the shift button, which accesses extra functions for any button with white letters on a gray background, miscellaneous single items such as vary pitch, undo, and the MIDI disc indicator, and the back panel where all connections are made. A good place to start any recording is to prepare some place to record to. In the case of digital hard disk recording, we don't use audio tape, but record to a computer hard disk or removable disk. Instead of loading a new roll of tape, we'll begin by selecting a new song. Follow me through these simple steps. Under the LCD display are the edit condition buttons. The first button on the left is for song editing, and it brings up a different page of edit options on the display each time you press the button. Press this button until the display reads Song New. The question mark indicates that you use the Yes cursor to enter this function. Press the right Yes cursor button to create a new song. Press Yes to accept the sample rate. The display now asks the question, Create New Song. Press the right cursor button, Yes. Finally, the display asks, Create New, Sure. To confirm that you wish to begin a new song, answer with the Yes button. Notice that the time available for recording our new song is shown in the lower left-hand corner of this display in minutes and seconds. Let's move on through some initial connections and settings. Go to the back panel and connect your amplifier to the two RCA master out connections, or use the 1/4" stereo headphone connections. Our first tracks will be stereo electronic drums from our Roland S760 sampler, driven by the sequencer in the XP50. We'll begin by plugging the S760 stereo outs into inputs 1B and 2B. Inputs 1 through 4A are 1/4" inputs. Inputs 1 through 4B are identical inputs using RCA connectors. Here's a tip. The 1/4" A inputs are switch jacks that override the B RCA inputs, so don't leave any 1/4" plugs connected if you're not currently using them. Let's get our mixer ready for recording. First, select the post fader level on the VS880 display. The display button is the same as the play button, but notice the word display in white letters on a gray background. This indicates you access the function using the shift button. So hold down shift and press the display button until it reads post level. Here we can see the channel, AUX, and master output levels. Make the basic settings for tracks 1 and 2. Turn the input sensitivities all the way down, pan them hard left and right, set the faders to 0 dB, and set the channel status to record standby, the flashing red LED. Tip: there's a little colored legend to the left to remind you of the color coding of the status LED. Pull the master volume fader all the way down. Begin playing the source material to check levels, testing the loudest section of music. Watch the levels in the display, but for now, pay the most attention to the peak LED indicators above input channels 1 and 2. As usual, run as hot as possible without lighting these LEDs. Here's a tip. Don't push the meters to the top. Unlike analog tape saturation, which has a place, digital distortion is unusable. Raise the master volume fader gradually to around 0 dB. We're now ready to record. In the transport section, press the red record button. Its LED will flash, indicating record ready. Press play on the VS880 to begin recording, and immediately begin your source material. In our case, the sequencer driving the Roland S760 sampler. Watch your levels, and when the recording is complete, press stop on the VS880 and the sequencer. Before playing back, press the first white transport control labeled 0 to return to the top. Press the channel 1 and 2 status buttons until their indicators are green for play. Now press the white play transport button. Let's add some more tracks. Note that the input connections feed the tracks in the following way. You can use the channel edit buttons to route any input to any track. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, I've added some more material, including a solo on track 4. Let's listen.
Manifold choices with minimal strain.
This solo is fine, but I want to try another one. With tape, we'd have to use another track or erase something. But with the VS880, we'll stay on track 4 and use one of its 7 remaining available virtual tracks. Here's an illustration of the VS880's virtual tracks. Each track has 8 virtual tracks, which are holding areas for your material. You can hear one of these at a time per track. You can comp tracks together by moving or copying pieces of one virtual track to any other track. Selecting another virtual track for track 4 is easy. Tip: whenever you want to edit a track, you'll use the channel edit button to select that track for editing. Here we use channel editing. Press the channel edit button above track 4, then press the right parameter button until the display reads channel 4 virtual track equals 1. The first solo was recorded on virtual track 1 of track 4. We'll now change to virtual track 2 of track 4. You'll notice the display change. Tracks are numbered along the bottom, virtual tracks up the left side. Now we can record on virtual track 2 of track 4 without affecting what we've recorded on virtual track 1 of track 4. We now have solos recorded on virtual tracks 1 and 2 of track 4. Let's listen to a few seconds of each. You can see that the virtual tracks of the VS880 give you lots of room to experiment and be creative. Now let's talk about editing. To demonstrate editing, we'll erase part of the solo located on virtual track 2 of track 4. Tip: I use the locate section to help me with my editing. Most editing functions have a start, a from, an end, and a to. I use locate points 1 through 4 to store these edit points for quick editing. The VS880 has 1,000 markers and 8 locate points. We'll use the locate points with their dedicated buttons and LEDs. Let's put a locate point at the beginning and at the end of the section we want to erase. Let's play our tune and add our locate points on the fly. You'll notice we pressed locate 1 for the start of our edit and locate 3 for the end. It's easy to remove a locate point. Just hold clear and press the locate button. Now let's erase this section. Under Edit Conditions, press Track until you see the Erase command. Notice that it ends in a question mark, indicating you must press Yes to access this function. We'll choose the track we're going to erase by pressing the Channel Edit button for track 4. Then choose the virtual track we're going to erase using the Time value dial. Now press the right parameter button and press locator number 1 to enter the start time of our erase. Press the right parameter button again. Then press locator number 3 to enter the end time of our erase. Press the right parameter button again, then the Yes cursor button to erase. Let's listen to this section. Now let's undo our edit. This is possible since editing on the VS880 is non-destructive. Press the undo button and you'll see on the screen the number of undo levels that are available. This indicates the number of track edits you've done with this song. Press the Yes cursor to undo the erase. Notice that the undo light is now lit, indicating that you've undone an edit. If you want to redo the erase, just hold Shift, press the undo, then Yes. We've used the Shift button several times. Since it is essential to accessing the full power of the VS880, let's spend a couple of minutes examining how it is used. White lettering surrounded by a white line indicates an alternate function, accessed by holding down the Shift key. The Shift key accesses the commands marked on this diagram in blue. For example, holding Shift while I press Song End, the alternate function for the Fast Forward transport button, takes me to the end of the song, a useful shortcut that can be used in song editing functions like Erase. As a self-contained virtual studio, the VS880 contains recording, editing, effects, and a powerful mixer. Let's take a look at the mixer section. The mixer has 2 modes, recording mode and mixing mode. You choose these 2 modes here using the Shift button. Input to track is recording mode, and both input mix and track mix are used for mixing. Let's look at the recording mode in some detail. Each of the 8 tracks of the VS880 has the following choices that you can select. For input selection, the choices are analog inputs 1 through 4, digital inputs 1 and 2, the mix bus for bouncing tracks, and the aux bus. For EQ, the choices are on and off, and adjustments for low, mid with Q, and high. The choices for effects bus 1 and 2 are off, pre-fader, post fader, and insert. These effects buses are only available for use when you've installed the optional VS8F1 board, which I think is a really good idea. The VS8F1 adds 2 complete stereo effects processors with 1 user installable board. These are really high quality stereo effects, which allow you to keep everything in the digital domain. This effects board completes the VS880 as an all-in-one digital studio environment. You select all of these mixer options in the following way. First, choose the channel that you want to modify by pressing the Channel Edit button. Remember how we chose the virtual track? Then use the parameter buttons to choose the option that you want to modify. Finally, use the time value dial to choose the value and you're done. For example, let's choose input number 3 for track 1. First, we select channel 1 using the Channel Edit buttons. Then we use the parameter buttons to choose input and the dial to change the value to 3. Exit with the play button, as we discussed earlier. The mixing mode is very similar. In addition to controlling the levels, pans, and other aspects of the 8 recorded tracks, it also allows you to simultaneously mix in audio through the 4 analog and 2 digital inputs on the back. Parameter choices are made in the same way in both modes. Using the select button, you switch between using the faders to control the levels of the 8 recorded tracks in track mix or the 6 inputs in input mix. The faders do double duty when in mix mode. This would be a good time to check the manual for the exact difference between the mix and record modes. You can also modify the outputs of the mix bus, aux bus, and the 2 effects buses here using this master button. Master refers to the master output jacks on the back as well as the headphone jacks and digital outs. The 14-channel digital mixer with its EQ, digital patch bay, and effects are an important part of what makes the VS880 an all-in-one complete studio environment. Let's take a minute and talk about where your audio goes, what your recording options are, and what you do when your hard drive fills up. First, when you record audio into the VS880, you're recording a digital image of the audio onto a hard drive. This picture is very similar to the method that is used on a CD or a DAT recorder. Here's a chart of the possible drive options that you can use. Let's discuss recording time. Roland has done extensive research over the past several years developing the technology to offer exceptional sound quality coupled with different recording lengths. The options include the sampling rates of 48, 44.1, or 32 kilohertz, and the coding methods used include mastering, MT1, MT2, and live. I use 44.1 kilohertz at MT1 or MT2 for my projects. This lets me get the sound I feel I need being in the commercial world. You choose the recording method when you set up a new song by using the cursors and the dial to choose the sampling rate and coding method that you want to use. Let's talk about saving your work. Like a computer, the edits that you perform on the VS880 need to be saved to a disk on a regular basis. The VS880 makes this easier for you by automatically doing a save every time you select a song, choose a new song, or shut down. However, it's always a good idea to save every once in a while. Here's how. Just hold down the Shift button and press the 0 key and press the Yes cursor. That's all there is to it. No matter which rates you use, eventually your drive will fill up. This is the same as running out of tape on a cassette or multitrack. When this happens, you have the following options. One option is to record your mix of the song to digital or analog tape. Then erase the song, giving you back the disk memory. Use this option only if you're completely finished with the song and won't need to come back to it for more mixing or editing. A better option is to back up your song to digital audio tape. This method would allow you to restore the song exactly as you left it, including all of your virtual tracks, edits, and other stuff. This allows you to re-edit the song or maybe add a few more parts or remix. This method is the most economical, but it does take an extra minute or two to finish the backup. You can also back up to a removable drive, such as the iOmega zip drive. This is another economical option and is a very fast process. The last method is to record directly onto a removable medium, such as the iOmega Jazz drive, which holds a gigabyte of information. When the drive is full, you just remove the disk and put in another. For the musician on the go, this is the fastest and most flexible method. Later, if you want to, you can back up your Jazz drive to DAT and then reuse the disk. You can definitely find both a recording option and a backup option that works with your style. Finally, when you're done working for the day, there's one last thing you need to do. Shut down the VS880. This automatically saves the song to disk, parks the drives, and ejects any removable media. To shut down, hold Shift and press the Shut Eject button, which is also the stop button. Then press Yes to confirm. The display will tell you when it's okay to turn the power off. Well, that's all we have time to do in detail on this video. I hope this gives you an idea of what the VS880 is all about. I think it's a really cool box, and you're going to get a lot out of it. To wrap up, let me quickly show you a few additional features of the VS880 that are important to know. You can vary speed your song.
Manifold choices with minimal strain, multiple voices.
Let's add some reverb to the drums. Go into solo mode.
With minimum.
Choose channel 1 with the channel edit button. Choose the effect. Adjust the wet and dry mix. Notice that the VS880 is multitasking this whole time. Now, let's do some waveform editing and scrubbing. We're going to find the beginning of this vocal. So first I'm going to listen. Okay, and that's the vocal, the female vocal there is what I'm going to want to scrub. So I'm going to go into scrub mode. Right now I'm using scrub 2, and I'm going to use the channel edit button to choose track 8 to scrub, which is where the vocal is. And then I'm going to listen for it. Now I have a rough beginning, but I'm using a coarse resolution, so I want to tighten up that resolution. I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to listen for the beginning. Okay, and I'm still in a medium resolution. I want to get a really tight edit, so I'm going to use fine resolution to finish this edit off. You can change the screen contrast this way. Let's loop a drum part. Here's how. I've put a marker at the beginning and end of the loop section. Now I'm going to use the copy command. First I'm going to want to hear the part that I want to loop. Okay, so I'm going to take that part, I'm going to go to copy by scrolling through till I see copy. I'm going to choose track 1, virtual track 2, and I'm going to go to track 1, virtual track 2. I'm also going to choose track 3, virtual track 2, and I'm also going to go to track 3, virtual track 2. And that's all I want to do with the track. Most editing functions have a start, a from, an end, and a to. Now that I have the part that I want to copy, I'm going to take the start of the part that I want to loop. I'm going to take the from of the part that I want to loop. I'm going to take the ending point of that part that I want to loop. And I'm going to tell it where I want to put that or copy it to, and the loop will begin from there. It's going to ask me how many times. Let's just say I'd like to do it 10 times. And now it's going to ask me copy OK. And I'm going to say yes. Now we can listen to our loop. Okay, and there's our loop. Tempo maps make bar and beat editing very fast and easy in the VS. I can dial to any bar I want instantly, or I can just directly type in a location. There's a guitar part on bar 17. Let's use bar and beat editing to copy it 8 bars earlier. First, let's listen to the part.
In a new domain. Make up your mind.
Okay, now let's copy it. All I have to do is directly dial in the bars for the start, from or sync point, end, and destination. This is a very fast way to edit.
Manifold choices with minimum.